Hey guys, hope everybody's doing great. The piece of technology behind me is something that was developed in the 60s, and then it was state of the art. Now it's in a museum. That's the way technology works. But we like things that are cool and new. So without further ado, let's get on with the Taste of Premiere show. I have John Winfrey with me today. John, how's it going?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. I hear you're going to talk to us today about Section 508.
Yeah, actually, we're going to talk a little bit about Section 508, what it means, but more specifically, I want to talk about the opportunities that it presents to TAMs within public sector and any organization that works in and around the federal government.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
So let's dig into this a little bit. So what is Section 508? Section 508 is legislation that was passed in 1939 as part of the Americans for Disabilities Act. The Americans for Disabilities Act was legislation that was trying to, it added persons with disabilities to the protected work classes, along with race and creed and so on and so forth. Section 508 is one of the more recent additions to it, and it was originally enacted in 1998 and most recently was updated in 2013. What Section 508 very specifically is it requires federal government agencies to have, in any of their IT systems, that have the ability for persons with disabilities, whether it be visual disabilities, hearing disabilities, mobility disabilities, or cognitive disabilities, to be able to access the technology. So any government produced product, IT product, or a contractor for the federal government produced product must be compliant with the 508 accessibility standards. So let's dig into that a little bit.
Okay.
So accessibility in 508, what are the standards? That's probably the biggest question that I hear. And that is, so they can be broken down into four areas, really. Productivity software such as Office and those operating systems fall into that. And do they comply? Do they have a capability that would allow a person with one of those disabilities to functionally do their job within the federal government? Also, and probably one of the things we're going to dig into most is applications and web and client-based pieces that must be developed, whether they be out-of-the-box software or custom developed software that must be accessible to a person with disabilities. The other pieces to that are audio and visual. You know, are the federal government agencies, their audio and visual technologies, including Teams, by the way, is it 508 compliant? Does it allow for persons with disabilities to be able to use those tools? And then, of course, telecommunications, which is also a Teams related kind of topic. Does it meet that standard? Can a person with a hearing disability, does it work with TDY technologies? Does it offer captioning, so on and so forth, for persons with those level of disabilities? So, as I said a moment ago, you know, the focus of this conversation is more around the opportunities that it provides you and I as a TAM, or for that matter, consultants or PFEs, in providing services to our customers. What doors does this open for us? And it really falls within one of the four categories that I've got listed here. Education. Now, education could mean simply sitting down with your customers who are asking questions around, is this product 508 compliant? And we can talk to them about how the technology is, how it works, and how it can assist persons with disabilities. That's one piece, and there's a lot of effort that's gone underway with that. Working, each one of the federal government agencies has a 508 coordinator, a 508 office, and this is where a lot of that effort goes into play. Then, of course, the big one is working with application development around not only desktop apps but web apps, SharePoint, CRM. All of those fall within this category. And by the way, this is a cottage industry that's being developed in outside of Microsoft, third party, where we have a lot of partners that are working in this area as well. So application development, are we adding in the hooks? Are we adding in the alt text descriptions of graphics? Those types of things within the applications that would make a web page, for example, available and being able to understand by a person with a visual disability, or in the audio visual, like a multimedia presentation, are we providing the closed captioning or other technologies that would make that accessible to someone with a hearing disability, for example? And then, of course, part of the opportunity here, and it plays into the application. And this actually, by the way, we actually have a service in Phoenix right now that is an accessibility code review, where we have PFVs that app dev focused PFVs that come in and they do a review of the application or the website or whatever, and they can look at that and help with designing and enhancing a website, whether we develop it or not, that would make it accessible to a person with the varying disabilities. And then, of course, feeding into that is the further DevOps kind of opportunities. And this is something that Microsoft is actually working really hard. We're trying to develop services and deliveries that would build around the app dev community and how we can help further the accessibility of these applications. So
yeah, I know that I have NASA, and they always, every new product we roll out, I essentially have to go and find the Section 508 compliance documentation and deliver it.
Absolutely, and this is becoming, as you probably know, the federal government a number of years ago mandated that all applications, everything that is used in the federal government, is 508 compliant. Now, Microsoft has done a great job, particularly here of recent, of building 508 or accessibility standards into the products, whether it be Outlook or Word or whatever it is, even some of the more visually focused, kind of like Excel, for example. There are functions in there that can not only help you build it, but can assess your documents or your spreadsheets or your slide presentations to tell you how accessible it is. Each one of our products has what's called an accessibility checker that goes in and looks at that. But to your point, there are a number of resources that are available to us as a TAM, or for that matter, anybody within Microsoft that helps to answer those questions from our customers. And I would point to the third one on the list. Actually, the last one on the list, the accessibility reports that are available that Microsoft produces, that focuses on 508 compliancy and says this product is compliant because of these reasons. And this is the resource you go to answer those questions around, is Word, is Outlook, is Teams 508 compliant. But I also want to point out a couple of things. There's a number of other resources that Microsoft has really promoted to further this cause. The first one on the list that I want to point out is the top one on the list, and this is in an internal site. It's called Enable. And it's a great place to go learn about our products, go learn about how we as Microsoft have addressed the 508 and the accessibility topic, how each one of our products, and a lot of the videos and white papers that are in there really dig into the specific products. And then, of course, LinkedIn has an accessibility link as well, that this is a great community. And this is something that I actually point a lot of my customers to that are asking this question. You know, how do we contribute? How do we learn more about Microsoft's focus on accessibility, but the industry's focus on accessibility? And the LinkedIn site is a great one. And then probably one of the more useful, the one that I use the most, I'm talking to customers, is the disability answer desk. So the question comes up a lot of times, you know, from a customer, okay, we know that Word does these accessible things, but we want to accomplish whatever that is. How do we do that? One of the more recent changes to Word was the ability to go into dark mode, where it helps with the contrast of Word, something that I use every day. Well, the way we learn about, the way our customers can learn about the how-tos is to go to the answer desk. But there's a secondary value to there. The answer desk is also plugged in directly with the product group. So if your customer has a particular need, and for whatever reason our product is not addressing it today, the disability answer desk has the capabilities. As a Premier employee, we also would, by sending a issue up through the DCR process, but they have a similar process going through there that they introduce the accessibility topics to the product group. And you would be surprised how quickly we as Microsoft are addressing those. We actually have figured out, and a lot of the industry has not figured this out, that the disability or disabled working group in America is one of the fastest growing groups out there. As a matter of fact, there was a recent study that showed 1 out of every 5 working Americans have some sort of disability, and that number is growing every day as we get an older culture and that type of thing. So it is definitely a market for us to pay attention to, and the disability answer desk is very specifically designed to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, man, listen, this has been great. Thank you so much for presenting this to us today.
And I would just end this by saying this. You know, I know there's a lot of questions. I know there's a lot of concern. There's a lot of churn around how do we talk the accessibility 508 talk. And I would just say, you know, feel free to reach out to me. I am more than willing to help put together that message to drive this kind of topic within our customers. The good news is Microsoft has a very, very solid story today to talk about accessibility, and it's only getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, listen, John, again, thank you for your time. I certainly appreciate you doing this with us.
No, I appreciate the time that you've given me, Lex. Anytime.
All right, guys, that's your taste of Premier.